obese. If you're healthy but have decided to freeze your eggs so you can have a baby later on in life, the eggs will be stored for 10 years and then disposed of. But is this fair? Should they be stored for longer? Leading fertility doctors and scientists say a decade is too short a period of time, and the limit on storing eggs should be changed. Compare with those women who store their eggs because of a medical problem which might harm their fertility. They can keep them frozen for 55 years. Let's talk now to Professor Geeta Nagand, who is the medical director at Create Fertility, one of Europe's biggest fertility clinics, which treats both NHS and private patients. She's backing the campaign to change the law. Emily Grossman is here, TV scientist, who had her eggs frozen last year, aged 38, and Claire Fenelon, who has a baby. And the time limit on her remaining eggs will run out next year, and she's deciding whether to have another child. Welcome, all of you. OK, I think you might have to explain, first of all, and briefly, how the egg freezing process works.
Well, the egg freezing process, basically women need to have a detailed consultation, understand the process, risks involved, and also the success rate and the costs involved, because it's not funded by the NHS unless it's for medical reasons, as you suggested before, for cancer. So then they have to undergo ovarian stimulation injections for anywhere around 10 days to 2 weeks, then had to have an egg collection procedure, which is an outpatient procedure. Then the eggs are collected, they are checked for maturity, and then they are frozen, now using a fast freezing method called vitrification, which actually has been the game changer for success, because it has increased the success rate significantly compared to previous slow freezing method. So literally about 2 weeks, but they really need to make that informed decision about the success and risks.
Okay. And how much does it cost?
Well, it depends on where you go, but I suppose it would cost anywhere between £3,500 to £5,000,
okay,
inclusive of everything.
Yeah. Emily, tell us why you chose to freeze some of your eggs last year.
Well, I got to my kind of mid-30s, and the panic about would I have kids, would I be able to have kids, really started to set in. And then when I came towards I got to the age of 38, and I came out of a relationship, I wasn't in a position to have children naturally, at least not right now, and I didn't want to do it on my own. And I was noticing friends who were in their early 40s, meeting the love of their life, finding it really, really hard to conceive, and it was devastating for them. And also friends of around my age and below, really panicking and rushing into relationships, getting together with people, rushing into having kids before they were really ready or at the right stage of their relationship, and ending up possibly even being single parents. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not what I wanted to do. So I just thought, well, I want to have kids. I think I want to have kids at some point. I'm not in a place to do that right now. I'm loving my life. I've got a great life, great career, I'm very happy. And I absolutely, desperately don't want to miss out on the opportunity to have children. And I'd read that fertility rates halve from the age of 35 to 40, they halve again from 40 to 42, and you know, approaching towards the end of my late 30s, I was thinking, you know, I just don't want to be in this position where I'm panicking and stressing out about it. And actually, we all hear the stories of people who get so stressed that they actually find it hard to conceive. So I just thought, if I freeze my eggs, it's not foolproof, absolutely not, but it gives me a backup, and then hopefully when the time's right and I have a partner and I want to do it naturally, I'll be less stressed and I'll be able to do it more naturally anyway.
And you were 38 when you went through this process. So would you really want to keep those eggs for more than 10 years?
Well, ideally no, because ideally I'd conceive naturally in the next few years, and my thought is, you know, maybe this is a backup because I'd like a family, maybe more than one child. But if I did get to the age of 48 and I hadn't got to that place yet, the amount of time and energy and effort and money that I've put into this process, which I don't regret for 1 second, but if they got thrown away when I was 48 and I actually felt young and fit and healthy and energetic enough to want to have children, my body, my womb was still going to be able to carry them even if I passed through menopause. So it would be just, I would feel it would be such a travesty to then have them thrown in the bin simply because there's an arbitrary rule, nothing to do with the health and viability of eggs after 10 years freezing, that makes them get chucked away.
Before I bring Claire in, briefly, Geeta, what is the reason for the 10-year rule? Do you know? What's the rationale, briefly?
The rationale at the time this rule was made, which was a long time ago, Victoria, the risks of long-term storage of gametes and embryos, that was not they were not known. And also egg freezing was not really a viable option at that time. So the 10-year rule was made at that time. But now it's totally logical.
Was it based on anything? Is it arbitrary?
It was arbitrary.
Okay, fine. Claire, hello. Hi, Claire. I can't really hear you in the studio. Maybe we'll just turn up the volume. But do introduce the little baby on your lap, please.
Oh, this is Frankie.
Ah, I can see Frankie now.
He wasn't supposed to be in the picture, but he decided he wanted to be.
We love a Frankie. Do not worry, Claire. Tell our audience why you had your eggs frozen.
Exactly the same reasons as Emily just stated there. I was 39. I was not having much luck finding a partner to have children with. And so I decided to freeze them just to give myself a little bit more time, breathing space. So that's what I did. And I just assumed that I would, go ahead and use them within the next few years, within 5 years, really. I didn't think too far ahead.
And is Frankie a result of one of those eggs being frozen?
Yes, yes.
Amazing. What changed then in your circumstances?
Well, I'd kind of given myself an age limit as to when I wanted to be a mother. I didn't really want to be older than 45. In the end, I was 47. And I didn't meet anybody, and I just decided that it was actually holding me back looking for somebody. So I decided to go alone, and that's why I decided to thaw half of my eggs, and Frankie, fortunately, was the one that worked.
So do you mind me asking, how many eggs were put back in you?
Just one.
Okay, right, fine.
Yeah, 10 were fertilised, but only one developed.
Right.
And that was Frankie, and fortunately that was successful.
And how many eggs do you still have frozen?
11.
Are you likely to use those?
Yes, it's the debate I'm having with myself at the moment. Could I cope with 2 on my own? But that's a different subject.
Yeah.
If my deadline, my 10-year deadline, comes up in June next year, so I need to use them before then. For me, I don't want to go through pregnancy after the age of 50, but that's my personal deadline. That's my personal limit. I don't think anybody should really tell anybody else what age they should be or how they should, when they should have children. It's up to us. Anybody can have children.
Yes.
If the
that is an interesting point, because there are from some people ethical questions around this. Would you want a 50-year-old giving birth, for example? It doesn't seem to happen when it comes to men and fathers, but it does around women. How do you respond to that, Emily?
I just think if I'm 50 and I'm feeling fit and healthy, I'm looking after my body, I'm looking after my nutrition, I'm exercising, and I feel energised and I feel I have the emotional, physical resources to give to a child, then why on earth would I be robbed of that opportunity just because I have a clock in me that says that? And I understand that, you don't want a child growing up with a parent who's going to pass away before they get to a certain age, but then who can tell when that's going to happen anyway?
You have no idea what's around the next corner.
And we're trying to encourage younger women to freeze their eggs kind of under the age of 35, because that's when the success rates are highest. And if someone does that at the age of, say, 32, they've only got till they're 42 to use them at this rate.
Claire, I'm really interested to ask you how people react to you and the way Frankie was conceived, if I can put it like that.
Yeah. I was surprised, actually. Everybody has been very positive about it and really encouraging, and I haven't felt any different to any other mothers that I've met along the way. I think I've maybe come across one person who's not approved, if you like, of it. But that's maybe a different generation. I don't know. And there's all kinds of ways families are brought up, and even in the traditional form, it can be quite dysfunctional. So Frankie lives in a household where he gets a lot of attention. He's loved very much. He's got a wider family, and so the general approach to it has been interest. Really, people are interested in how it's happened, and really pleased for me that I've been able to do it. After searching to be able to do it for so many years.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming on the programme, Claire, and Emily and Geeta. We'll see what happens with the campaign. Let's see if you gain any traction with trying to get the law changed. Thank you so much.